ROI is not always financial. Oftentimes, it's just that you don't know what you don't know.
Life is easier and life is better
Mm-hmm.
than the ROI of a better lived life. All right, we're here, everybody. Introduce yourself for everybody, if you don't mind.
Hey, I'm Hunter Price, owner and CEO at Remodeling and Repairs, and as we'll talk about some newly developed company called Reside.
Okay. Well, last time we spoke with my guy, we did a video on prepping the exterior of the house, getting it ready for selling, and what tips and tricks we can do to get things going. Today, we're going to focus more on the interior and not necessarily getting things ready to sell, but more along the lines of, getting things, compliant, with ADA, Americans Disability Act. It doesn't usually apply that much to residential,
Right.
but now more and more people are thinking about, disabilities when it comes to building or remodeling. What are y'all doing in regards to that?
Sure. Well, it depends. So, like, again, on the My Guy Remodeling side, oftentimes, if we're dealing with someone that is maybe, 50s, 60s, not really in any way like what I would consider old,
Right.
but just kind of thinking, okay, if you're doing this remodel, you're probably planning on being in this home for an extended period of time. So let's think about 15 years from now. If ever, God forbid, something happened to you and you had to use a walker or a wheelchair, or just as you get older, you become weaker, just looking at it through that lens, not just the aesthetic side of what they would like it to look like, which is, beautiful and homey and, a good place to host people, but also for your future as well. And so from my guy side, that's oftentimes what we'll kind of also address. But
well, like you said, you may be people in their 40s and 50s, may not be disabled.
Mm-hmm.
They may be planning for later on in life, but a lot of people, have accidents, they get injuries,
Mm-hmm.
they have adult parents that move in with them. And so, how hard is it I know it's not an easy thing, but how hard, when you have an established home to try to bring that as compliant as possible?
Sure.
I know making bigger doors isn't always as possible,
Right,
but
right.
what can you do? Is
Yeah.
there anything?
So the main things that we normally look at, like you said, ADA, technically, it's not going to be compliant within most homes. You're
Right.
going to need way more space, way more, much oversized walkway, things that people aren't going to, really care about functionally. So we just really tell them it's like you're adapting minor things to make major improvements
Mm-hmm.
down the road. So, so sometimes it's people that have, carpets in their bathroom. We'll make modifications like change
Okay.
the vinyl, something that's easily, traversable without any tripping hazard. Removing, like, if we're looking, at, I guess again, we're kind of looking at the remodel side. So you can widen, like you said, we could widen out. Most of the time, we can widen out door frames.
Okay.
If they have cabinetry there, of course, you may be limited in regards to which door frames, but we just look for main access points. So, like, if they most of the time come through the back door,
Mm-hmm.
all we have to worry about is hallway doors to bedroom doors to bathroom doors. And so, kind of looking at through that perspective, sometimes people have multiple accesses to their bedroom. So we just try to limit what amount of modifications they have to do, because most people are on a money crunch. They're not
Right.
looking to spend an exuberant amount of money to modify everything. But then, like, I mean, on top of that, like ROI, return on investment for doing a curbless shower versus a curbed shower. That's something where I encourage them to maybe spend a little bit more upfront
Right.
if they're doing a shower remodel, because then again, down the line, it's much more accessible.
But you see probably more of that than anything is probably changing the bathtub into a shower
Mm-hmm.
with proper handles and,
Right.
and seats. Yeah, that's probably your biggest remodel when it comes to, disability. Is that your biggest
Mm-hmm.
request, or is it, you find
Yeah,
it all over?
it's all over. So if I can intro Reside
Right.
just a
Yeah,
little
yeah, yeah.
bit. So Reside is a newly developed company here in East Texas. So short story, but I'm basically have an occupational therapy background. So after I got into contracting, I realized what ways we can utilize that skill set on both ends.
Right.
So in regards to our Reside clients, most of the time, like I said, most people are pinching their pennies. Like, they're typically not planning on being disabled in any capacities, even if it's short term.
Right.
And so oftentimes it's the door frames into their bathroom. It's grab bars by the toilet, grab bars in the shower. Even if they have a tub, they can get like a bench. If they're trying to go economical, we can get a
Right.
bench and help them figure out ways to do it in an economical way. We also have like rubber threshold ramps that will go up to like their front door. That's like an inch and a half, 2 inches, to where they don't have that to traverse. They can easily get in and out without their loved one having to push them in and out every single time. So stuff like that, very economical. But then the shower, yeah, I mean, like we're doing one right now, and yes,
Okay.
it's a full blown shower. But most people, they're not looking to remodel their shower because they were never budgeting for that. So we just try to fit within whatever they can afford.
But most people aren't budgeting for injuries, accidents,
Right.
the all of a sudden, adult parent that needs a place to stay.
Hmm.
And so, it's one of those things to where, do you have a preference when you sit down and talk with people? Do you sit there and go, yeah, these are the situations that's been thrust upon you. Here's what I recommend, talking with you. Do you counsel them saying, hey, tell me about your situation? These are the recommendations I think you should start out
Right.
with,
Right.
and then we can add accordingly.
Yes. Yeah.
Okay.
Typically, what we'll do is I don't necessarily do a good, better, best, but similar to that concept, I'll do kind of here's the most economical, quick fix, things that like you could probably do right away. Here's kind of what I would recommend long term.
Mm-hmm.
Some of those people take the long term option immediately. And then some people are like, okay, let's just do 5 grab bars in these certain areas. Like we'll do a rail on their underneath like their mattress to where they
Okay.
can transition in and out of the bed
Oh, wow.
and not roll off of it accidentally. Like if you have a stroke, sometimes you have a certain level of, for lack of a better term, blindness to one side. So just a handful of things that we can do quickly and economically to improve their safety situation.
Now, do you attribute, like you mentioned before, your background in occupational therapy?
Hmm.
Do you attribute this to getting you to think this way as a remodeler? Because most remodelers don't think about, hey, let's make this person comfortable because they have a disability, or they have they had an accident, or they
Hmm.
have elder parents,
Yeah.
or elder themselves.
Yeah.
Is this something that has always been in the back of your mind, because like I said, not everybody thinks in this. They usually just one size fits all.
Sure.
I'm just a
Sure.
remodeler. We do for code. That's it. You're thinking a little bit outside the box here.
Yeah, that's a good point. Actually, I hadn't thought about that, but yes, whenever we started the remodeling side, definitely that was kind of the way I would direct a little bit
Mm-hmm.
if they were not just looking for, again, a quick fix or something. Like I just really wanted them to see long term, because you want them to have a good return on their investment. And I know every dollar is earned, some easier than others, but like we just try to, essentially like spend that well and do
Well,
a good job
sometimes
looking
the
out for them.
return on investment is not necessarily monetary.
Right.
It's quality of life.
Yes, 100%.
And so I know when we built our house, we made sure all the doorways to the closets, to the showers, to the bathrooms, everything was maximum 36, because we anticipated probably, one of our parents moving in with us with a
Hmm.
walker, with a wheelchair. We did hard surfaces,
Yep.
and come to find out, it worked out better for us because, Dawn had an accident,
Mm.
or had a disability where she, hurt her back through her sciatic, and she was down for a couple months. And so she had to use a walker. Sorry.
Yeah.
But I mean, and so, it came in super handy.
Mm.
I mean,
Mm.
it was one of those things to where she was able to flow throughout the house,
Yes.
but it wasn't planned.
Right. Right. That's a
We planned it, but not for her, for an elder adult, but it
mm.
turned out to be a plus.
Yes. And I, like you said, ROI is not always financial.
Right.
Oftentimes it's just that you don't know what you don't know. You don't
Right.
know what to plan for. And so especially at like 50-ish, 60, like you still, I imagine, like generally you feel like it's going to be a while before you need necessarily those modifications. But like if you widen things out, making it a little bit bigger, a little bit more accessible, it's really, it's way better than having to deal with that later on and having to redo it
Yeah.
if ever you have an issue. And if you don't ever have an issue, thank the Lord, that's awesome. Now the next person that owns that home, now they are set up for success if they ever have any
And that
issues.
might be a
Yeah.
benefit when selling the home,
Hmm.
because then someone's coming in thinking, hey, they put some thought into this.
Mm.
I can move, a person with a wheelchair or a walker in. I don't have to do any modifications. It's already been done. It's there.
Yes.
But
Yeah.
but with you saying that when you're in your 50s and 60s and you start planning these things,
Hmm.
I start taking that personally, because I'm living that right now, thinking, should I be
And
worried
it's
about
weird.
that?
It is
Yeah.
weird, honestly, because and even whenever I was working in occupational therapy, I always tell people like, even in their 80s, I was like,
Yeah.
I saw people that were doing the same things that you or I do functionally, you know what I
Right.
mean, or better.
Right.
And so I always tell them, I'm like, even some of those people, they would be like, oh, I'm like, you're not like
No.
it's a mentality and it's
Mm-hmm.
absolutely physical activity. Like the way that you take care of yourself. And so hopefully, again, you never get to that point, but even my parents,
Yeah.
they're now 60, and so you're not old, you don't act old in any way, but just
But
plan
if
for the
you
next step.
plan,
Yeah,
if you
yeah.
plan for it, there's nothing wrong, because if something does happen, the accident happens, the aging adults, you aging, and life is easier and life is better,
Hmm.
then the ROI of a better lived life
Right,
is there.
right, right,
And who knows, the ROI may be there, like we said, on the resale. So either way, it's not a bad idea to go ahead and think those for future.
right. Yep,
Gotcha.
exactly.
All right.
Yeah,
Well,
that's a
that's
great point.
easy enough, brother.
Yeah.
I appreciate your
Yeah,
time.
dude. Yeah,
Hey, thank you
absolutely.
so much.
Good